To welcome in Paul Stanley, the solo Paul Stanley on this particular tour. Paul Stanley, the not so KISS at the moment.
Well, you can't lose your roots. I mean, even coming over and doing a solo tour, it's funny because people would say, well, what are you going to play? And of course, I'm going to play Detroit Rock City and Love Gun and Lick It Up and, Got to Choose, all the great KISS songs because I wrote them.
Yeah, sure. Is there a different dynamic from performing the songs solo to performing them with the band?
Yeah, totally. Because, there's no bombast in terms of special effects. And, I'm not in the KISS gear. It's really, it's stripped down, but in some ways it's more explosive than even a KISS show because there's no mistaking that the power is coming from the band. So it's kind of a throwback for me to when I was a kid and I saw Hendrix play for 1,500 people or Led Zeppelin or things like that, where it really was about a band making great music and connecting with an audience.
Sure, because I think, what's special about this tour, Live to Win, it's really the first solo tour for Paul Stanley, although there was a solo tour of small clubs and pubs back in '89, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had finished, I think it was the either the Hot in the Shade or the Crazy Nights tour, and I decided to go out and do some shows. But this is the first time, I've had any time to really, go out there and do it, and it's been amazing. After doing the States, I didn't want to stop. The band didn't want to stop, so it's funny because just last night we were having dinner and going, where do we go from here? Because it's that good.
Yeah. Well, the Live to Win title track, I want to talk about that for a sec because one of the things that you've always been about is putting a positive message out there to kids, and you've come out with a new album, second solo album, and a very positive song and a very positive title again.
Well, it's funny because some people think it's corny. I heard some people say, oh, come on, Live to Win, it's such an old, sentiment. Truth is, I don't know what losers believe in, but, that's what gets winners where they go, you set your goals and your challenges and you go after them without any regard for the people who don't believe you can achieve them or the ones who failed. So when somebody says, well, that, it's such a, it's a corny sentiment, well, I don't know what you're living your life based on, but, this has been a successful formula.
To Win made it into a South Park episode as well, didn't it?
Yeah, very funny how I got a call from the South Park people if they could use Live to Win. And, thinking of the turnaround and putting a show together, I figured it was going to be months. And when I gave them the go-ahead, it was probably 10 days later it was on the show. And, it certainly got a lot of response.
Yeah. Were you ever a Simpsons character?
I don't think we may have been Simpsons characters. We've been on Family Guy and some other, animated shows. I get them all mixed up a bit.
Yeah. What about the business of KISS? I mean, it's, forget about the music component of this. We're talking about one of the most successful businesses in the world. Are you very hands-on with that?
Oh, sure. To leave that to other people would mean that it would probably go places where I wasn't comfortable. I mean, as it is, it's always a struggle to keep it on a certain line of, the boundaries. There's no denying that there's controversy with some of the stuff we do because other bands can't do it. So some people will say certain things aren't rock and roll, but I don't live by anybody else's idea of what KISS should be or I should be. I do what I want. And the truth of the matter is, we're not geniuses at marketing. The truth is the things that we put out that sell so well, we put out because people ask us to put them out. So why should we deny them, what they want? And if it makes us $1, no apologies.
Well, there's everything from the condom to the coffin.
That way we get you coming and going.
Boom, boom. Will you be buried in a KISS coffin?
I have no plans to be buried. I have no plans to die.
Well, maybe you can keep this going on for a lot longer. At least the fans hope so. You've got a couple of sons. One little one, but Evan, who's a bit older, is he familiar with Paul Stanley, the KISS star, as opposed to being dad?
Yeah, Evan's traveled the world with me. He did the reunion tour. He's done quite a bit of tours, and he's a great guitar player in his own right. So he's very well aware of it. I imagine by the time Colin gets bigger, because he's only, going on 8 months old, it'll be more, KISS will exist and in one form or another, but I don't know what Dad will be doing, within it.
He's gone that one step further. He's done the reality TV show and put his family, pretty much into the face of the world. You're a lot more private, though, with your family.
Yeah, I'd rather take a bullet than do something like that. I mean, it has no appeal to me whatsoever. First of all, I don't, reality and television are at odds with each other. You can either do television or you can do reality. And, the idea of like simulating, home life for a camera just means I'm spending less time having home life. So, we're all wired differently, and part of what makes, Gene and I work well together is that, we have very, very different priorities and interests.
Do you socialise?
Oh, oddly, he lives 2 minutes from me, and we don't see each other that much. We spent so many years together that, we've developed very different lifestyles. So, we get together when there's a reason to. But I guess it's like family at some point. You have certain boundaries, and, we just have other people we'd probably rather be with.
How do you draw the line between your private life and the public life? Do you just cut it off at a certain point of the day?
Yeah, it's real clear. To me, my private life is my private life. If I wanted publicity throughout my career, there would have been more publicity of who I was dating, who I was sleeping with, and all that kind of stuff. But it's of no appeal to me. I give enough on stage, and I give enough as a performer that something has to be mine. My family, my kids, all that stuff to me is sacred. So, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, we're all getting a little bit older, and with that, the bones start to rattle around a bit. You've been through the hip replacement operation recently.
Yeah.
Was that a scary thing for you to have to go through?
Not at all. I think after a while you just realize that you're kind of like a car, and parts wear out and get replaced. I've had both my knees done. I had my rotator cuff done. It's just when you do what I do, there's bound to be sports injuries is what they are. One of my close friends is the doctor for the Atlanta Braves baseball team, and he and others say to me, all these injuries are just the injuries that an athlete gets. And I literally wore out my left hip, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to do the things I wanted to do the way I do them. So it's a weird thought that they'll go in with a saw, which is exactly what they do, and they saw out bones and they put in metal pieces. But it's great. I'm way better than anything I've been in 10 years.
Well, you also, I guess, hit into a new career a couple of years ago. Paul Stanley Painter.
Yeah, it's been incredible, because the response and the amount of people who've been acquiring the art has been insane. I would only hope for something like that if I was just purely a painter. But about 6 years ago, I started painting when I was getting divorced, and people immediately started to relate to the paintings, even when they didn't know who had done them. So, I started working more, and this year I'll have 12 gallery exhibitions, and like I said, the turnouts. Obviously, people to a degree come because it's me, but nobody spends hard-earned money if they don't love something. So it's been incredible, really incredible.
And the newest one, Tokyo Rain, up there on the paulstanley.com website.
Yeah.
Is that up for sale at the moment?
Tokyo Rain, just I finished that just before I left for Australia. So there will be prints. What I try to do is make sure there's something for everybody, because art sometimes has this kind of like elitist kind of like snob quality to it, where I believe whether you live in a trailer or an estate or an apartment, flat, whatever you have, you should have art on your wall. So whether you can afford the original or a print that's been embellished, is a Van Gogh worth $100 million? As an investment, it is. And maybe the person who wants to own that, for the idea of owning the original, but someone can get just as much joy out of a print. So, everybody should be able to have art. And, I approach it like that, try to do something that everybody can acquire.
Well, you also, I guess, hit into a new career a couple of years ago. Paul Stanley Painter.
Yeah, it's been incredible because the response and the amount of people who've been acquiring the art has been insane. I would only hope for something like that if I was just purely a painter. But about 6 years ago, I started painting when I was getting divorced, and people immediately started to relate to the paintings, even when they didn't know who had done them. So, I started working more, and this year I'll have 12 gallery exhibitions, and like I said, the turnouts. Obviously, people to a degree come because it's me, but nobody spends hard-earned money if they don't love something. So it's been incredible, really incredible.
And the newest one, Tokyo Rain, up there on the paulstanley.com website.
Yeah.
Is that up for sale at the moment?
Tokyo Rain, just I finished that just before I left for Australia. So there will be prints. What I try to do is make sure there's something for everybody, because art sometimes has this kind of like elitist kind of like snob quality to it, where I believe whether you live in a trailer or an estate or an apartment, flat, whatever you have, you should have art on your wall. So whether you can afford the original or a print that's been embellished, is a Van Gogh worth $100 million? As an investment, it is. And maybe the person who wants to own that, for the idea of owning the original, but someone can get just as much joy out of a print. So, everybody should be able to have art. And, I approach it like that, try to do something that everybody can acquire.
Talk a bit about the Paul Stanley live set, and I want to just briefly touch on the various albums that you've gone back and revisiting for this particular tour, and if you can just tell us briefly why you chose the album and the song to go back to, starting with 1974, "Got to Choose," hotter than hell. That's the oldest song in the set list at the moment.
Actually, older than that is Strutter.
Well, Strutters, or both 1974, weren't they?
Yeah.
Both, yeah.
Yeah. Well, "Got to Choose" is off Hotter Than Hell, and Strutter's off the first album. So, they're both great songs. Strutter would be more an obvious choice, but "Got to Choose" is one of those songs that I've always just loved, been crazy about. And, one of the beauties of playing with the band I've got is everything sounds the way I want it to sound. It's just got incredible power, and the vocals are great, and "Got to Choose" was one of them that just had to be in the set list.
I guess an album like Destroyer is just too big to overlook, and Detroit Rock City and "Do You Love Me" pop up from 1976.
Yeah, It's funny, over the years, although somewhat controversial as an album when Destroyer came out, over the years, more of the KISS staples, the KISS classic songs, have come from that album. Detroit is just one of those songs that's just such a natural for a live show. I couldn't imagine not doing it. And "Do You Love Me" is almost kind of a signature song. So, the set list evolved very quickly and very naturally.
Well, "Love Gun's" another one of those natural songs to perform live. I've always loved KISS performing that one. Interesting to see that in the solo set.
Yeah, "Love Gun" is another one of those songs that's just, maybe it's a signature song, something that's identified with me. And again, it's just played with, a lot of passion, but also, pretty sharp teeth.
Well, the first solo album, 1978, and there's 4 tracks from that. Move On, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, Goodbye, and Tonight You Belong to Me. So we're pretty much heavily hitting that record, aren't we, on this tour?
I love that album.
Yeah.
You know, that's an album I think that stands up really, really well, and overall doesn't sound dated, and some of those songs are some of my favorite songs. Tonight You Belong to Me, you know, sounds really, really great live, and it was one of those songs that I was really looking forward to playing live.
What about from Dynasty, and this was, or Dynasty as you call it in the US?
I'm on your soil, I call it Dynasty.
Dynasty down here, I Was Made for Loving You was a massive hit in Australia, wasn't it? And I know you, as KISS, it didn't get performed a lot outside of Australia, didn't it? But it was one that you always kept in the set for here.
Yeah, it was one that had its time in the States in particular. But then, you know, we pretty much stopped playing it. But, you know, it's a song that should be played here. And, you know, we're playing it, I have to say, sounds like a ballsier version of the, you know, studio recording. It really sounds good. Every night when it starts up, I go, not bad. So that's another one where it just seemed like a natural.
And Shandy from 1980, Unmasked, that was another one that was a massive hit.
Shandy's one of those songs that literally never gets played by the band. But it's a song that you pretty much own over here, and it's a song that, you know, I knew everybody would enjoy. So it's, you know, that's been great. Magic Touch, again, there's, you know, from Dynasty was a song, one of my all-time favorite songs. Never, ever played it. So, you know, every night when I hear it on stage, it's just like, those are the reasons, if none other, that it was worth it for me to go on tour, just to hear my own songs played that well.
I Still Love You, Creatures of the Night.
I Still Love You has always been a powerhouse song, and although it takes the tempo down a bit, it's pretty intense, and you know, it's also a chance for me to kind of, as I call it, showboat. You know, go out there and do some of the more showcasing kind of vocals.
From Lick It Up, a couple of tracks there, Million to One and Lick It Up.
Lick It Up, again, is part of the effort to cover pretty much the whole catalog of KISS tunes, and A Million to One is one of those songs that just hasn't gotten played, and another one that I knew was going to be great live, and it is.
Yeah. From Hot in the Shade, 1989, Hide Your Heart.
Hide Your Heart is a great catchy tune, and again, one of those songs that just translates and transfers so well into a live song, and it's a great audience participation song. And you know, if KISS is guilty of one thing or many things, but one I can certainly you know, agree with. There's been some times where set lists have virtually stayed unchanged for years, and some of that unfortunately was due to the limitations of some people being able to play some, you know, more varied material. But with this tour, you know, I wanted to make sure that I was playing everything I wanted to play, all the songs I love, and also make sure that there were some songs that were not as obvious or often heard.
And from the new album, Live to Win title track, Bulletproof, and Every Time I See You Around.
Well, Live to Win is, you know, I mean, that's
a no-brainer, isn't it?
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Bulletproof is a cool rock track, and Every Time I See You Around is just a really good piece of music and plays really well. So, you know, I wanted to mix it up a bit.
At some stage on this tour, are you filming for a DVD?
We did a 14-camera shoot in Chicago at the House of Blues, and the DVD is just spectacular. It's really, really great, and shortly we'll make the deal for that, and that'll come out. And there's also a documentary that goes with it, a making of, which is it's a great package. It sounds just killer. Matter of fact, one of your boys over here mixed it, Mark Opitz.
Oh, right.
Mark mixed it, and It sounds great, looks amazing, and I can't wait to get it out. Very proud of it.
Yeah, Mark did all those great sounds on the early XS albums.
That's right.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I guess, one final question, and the obvious one I guess everyone's asking you, when are we going to see another KISS tour?
There's always another KISS tour. It's just a matter of when. I mean, we'll do about 4 shows this summer, and then we'll start thinking about going out on tour. There's always going to be another KISS tour.
Yep.
It's just something that always happens, and it's like launching an aircraft carrier in a sense. It's very big and very it takes a lot of momentum to get it going. Me doing a solo tour is kind of like starting up the engine on a sports car. It's just it's much simpler and gets going much quicker. But we couldn't stop KISS if we wanted to. People want what we do, and we'll be out there doing it. We'll do 4 shows this summer, and then we'll start thinking about a full tour.
Yeah, that's the news people want to hear. Thank you, Paul Stanley. Great
Pleasure.
to talk to you again.
Thank you.